Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome to your Thursday edition of News, Games, and More here at IGN. I'm your host, Michael Swaim. And I got to be honest, before we were rolling, everyone was talking about their electric toothbrushes. So I'm very tired because that's draining. I want to talk about video games. And here to help me do that are Jeffrey Vega, Ryan McCaffrey, and Benjamin Watts. Welcome, gang. Welcome, Thursday boys.
Hello, hello.
Thursday
The
boys.
Thursday boys.
We always call ourselves that.
We
That's
lack
what we always
in
go by.
diversity as a group. We make up for in existing on Thursdays. Let's dive right into the news. Major news dropped in the middle of the day, in middle of the morning today, and frankly saved this episode of this show because before this we were going to be talking about little tiny Easter eggs that could be nothing. But instead, we get to spend the bulk of the show talking about Warner Brothers 2021 slate coming to HBO Max at the same time that the films hit theaters, at least in the States. Now, there's some more fine print as far as domestic versus international release, et cetera. But let's just dive right in. Of course, notable movies on the slate include Matrix 4, Dune, what am I not thinking of? Mortal Kombat. So, let me spin the big old wheel and land on Jeffrey Vega. What do you think about all this nonsense, sir?
Oh boy. Well, I just want to say, as a member of the social team, we kind of got a little like 1 minute heads up about this, that there was going to be some big movie news. And we were very, very kind of shocked. I know I'm speaking for myself, but I know Ben, we both are huge moviegoers. We are neighbors and we go to the movies all the time before the pandemic. And to hear that we will be watching James Gunn's The Suicide Squad from our home is a little it's bittersweet. I'm conflicted for sure because I want to see this on IMAX, Dolby Cinema, just the best screen ever. I'm so excited for that movie to come out next year. And the fact that I can also watch it on a small screen is from my home is great, but I'm sad. I'm sad because I love movies. I love movie theaters. This is obviously a great decision for this new world that we're living in. It has it's obviously safer, of course. I mean, we are in a new lockdown in California as of today. I mean, we don't know when this will ever end. So it's kind of very bold of Warner Brothers to sort of kind of put everything on HBO Max, which is great because I already have HBO Max. Because if you guys don't have HBO Max, Harley Quinn on HBO Max is amazing. It's not a paid ad, but I just genuinely love the show. It's crazy. I just made a TikTok about it. I will plug our IGN on TikTok.
Please.
Kind of telling everybody, we made a shout out to Brandon Hunt on our social team. He made a fake Coachella poster with all the movies that will be on, as I mentioned, Mortal Kombat and all this stuff. And it's a new world where it's like maybe I'll just watch it from home with my already kind of monthly bill of HBO Max, and I don't need to spend money in a theater, which is so weird.
Right, you reference an important detail, which is, of course, that watching the movies requires no extra cost to current HBO Max subscribers. It's not the model we've seen, where you'll get Trolls World Tour, but it's still $19.99 or what have you. But it shuts the kids up for a goddamn hour, so it's worth it. Benjamin Watts, where do you land on the spectrum of, I think Jeffrey really outlined the classic. That's the classic seesaw, right? We all enjoy the convenience of screens. Our screens at homes are getting nicer. But how much do you miss the theatrical experience? And how do you think this impacts it, if at all? Or do you think we'll get back to normal someday? Normal.
I don't think we'll ever get back to that point that we were at before this happened. I just don't think the industry, in the way that it has had to transform, and a lot of it's not so much transformation as it's just they haven't been able to do anything. We've been in this whole stalling pattern, at least in the US. So I'm really excited to be able to watch big blockbuster movies again. TVs at home are great. I love my TV behind me, but I love that experience of going to the theater. Obviously, we all do. Having those seats rumble from the surround sound. I don't want that to go away. And so the definite fear and the discussion that's popped up over it, does this kill cinemas? And I don't think it does, but I think it will be forever changed, whether it's just be the volume of films that go out for theatrical release. Maybe we're just going to get, just the big bombastic ones. Maybe cinemas become essentially like theme parks in a way. Like, you want the biggest, baddest movie with the most CGI, now you go to the cinema. If you want those other really great films, you just enjoy them from home. So I'm in two minds. I think this is a great experiment, and I'm very interested to see how many studios actually follow suit, and are we going to see Marvel films debuting on Disney Plus? That's a big thing.
Yeah, I gotta say, just as an indie filmmaker myself, I can say that I made one indie feature film. This is still something I'm very invested in, is the idea that forever the film industry has sort of been building towards both ends of the spectrum with these huge bombastic movies that get butts in seats in the theatrical experience. And, and then there's basically no budget movies that people go to festivals to check out. And I feel like streaming is actually bringing back some of that equanimity, where people talk about, like, whatever, Kramer versus Kramer, a movie about a bitter divorce, could win Best Picture, right? That's not really a thing anymore. Neither should it be necessarily, but I do think Hollywood's budget will actually be diversified a bit by this, if that's any sort of silver lining, because a streaming package for like a medium-sized movie is much more feasible. And I think we'll see a resurgence of like the medium-sized movie, like a Marriage Story or what have you, where it's an intimate family drama. It drops out of nowhere. It's just on Netflix or on HBO Max or on Disney Plus, and everyone talks about it. So that's kind of hopeful. Ryan McCaffrey, where do you land on this whole thing? / are there any titles you're especially looking forward to checking out on HBO Max now?
Well, number one, just shout out to Christopher Nolan, who's for sure having a bad day today. There's no doubt about that. But number two, I do wonder if we might see some experimentation with monetization going forward. You mentioned how I actually didn't realize it was confirmed that these are not going to require an additional premium fee, which is, again, I mean, it's the nuclear option for growing your subscriber base on HBO Max. There is no bigger, redder button that you can push, and I'm all for it. I mean, I'm at the point, like, I do enjoy the movies, but I don't have the love for that experience enough to not applaud this. Like, but I'm torn with it too, because that is nice to do sometimes for the Lord of the Rings, or The Matrix 4 would have been a great example on this list. And there are a lot of jobs tied to the movie industry, from I should say the theater industry specifically. I mean, my first job ever was I tore tickets I was like the front person at the not the box office. I guess that's the front, but I tore tickets I was like the greeter guy at when I was 16 at an AMC theater in Mesa, Arizona. And so, like, I get it. Like, there are a lot of sides to this, but I wonder, to my thing earlier about experimenting with the monetization, I wonder if we might see stuff like, kind of like the theater, in that there are unskippable ads that'll play before some of these movies, so that the studios can guarantee advertisers a certain number of eyeballs, and to help pay for the exorbitant budgets of some of these movies without that box office there to back them up.
I like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I would have loved to have been a fly in the room at the, I'm sure, highest of high level executive meetings to make this final call, because just as an armchair idiot, my guess would be that this option that they have chosen for 2021 is probably the safer option revenue-wise, financially, in that it will raise the floor of what their 2021 financial intake could be. They're going to be guaranteed some subscribers, and like, they'll know with all this stuff going onto the service that they'll have people coming in and watching on HBO Max. But it also, I'm sure, lowers the ceiling as well. Because if 2021 were to go well, in the sense of the vaccine getting out widely, quickly, maybe they're leaving a bunch of money on the table where the box office totally could have come back. So I think they're kind of they're taking the middle ground here, the safer bet. But yeah, to the point that was made earlier is like, is this the genie out of the bottle moment where you can't put the genie back in the bottle once even when there is a vaccine? I don't know. This is a fascinating story that we're only just scratching the surface of.
Right, and ultimately only time will tell. But yeah, especially considering that this is not the pandemic certainly exacerbated or accelerated the trend. Exacerbated makes it sound bad. A lot of people think this is a great way for movies to go, direction for movies to go in. But this trend was beginning, like theaters were definitely struggling before any of this, before 2020 unfolded. So I think a lot of people foresee a future where screens are more interchangeable and content is just content, and everything is it's funny because like the young people and the old people will converge because everything will just be YouTube. You're just watching YouTube, and it applies to all media. And I do think there's some truth to that, but I certainly love the theatrical experience, hope to continue to pursue it. And I know there's a lot of people on staff. Shout out producer Marian, definitely believes theaters are here to stay.
You know who I'll bet
Yeah, go ahead.
makes it through this okay, much more so than like the Cinemarks or the AMCs. I'll bet Alamo Drafthouse survives this because they already kind of had that sort of premium niche movie-going theatrical experience where, no talking and the gourmet food brought to your seats and all like that. I bet that lives on okay. It would be the bigger chains that I think are in much more dire straits here.
Right. AMC is sort of impersonal. It's a brand that you don't, hey, IGN. It's a brand that you don't necessarily immediately associate with like some outstanding personality, but it's sort of just like a team of hardworking people bringing you the movies efficiently. They might end up closing a lot of locations. But I agree with you. I think we might see theaters also finding novel ways to make their community and their experience and their establishment more interesting. But I will just say from scanning our site, most people like Vanilla BS says, I freaking love this. I prefer my setup at home. PKPK523 says, wow, HBO Max easily becomes the best subscription service with this announcement. And of course, that's another aspect of this huge win for HBO Max, but at what cost? And yet, of course, we're all very excited to see the movies. And I'll just say my last piece on this, which is that to me, the theatrical experience still feels vital and like something we need to support. I feel like that almost makes me seem like out of touch, like from a prior generation. But I will say this: if I'm so out of touch, how come the big movies that we're looking forward to streaming are The Matrix, Dune, and Mortal Kombat? Because when I was a kid in the mid 90s, guess what 3 movies I was excited to watch? Dune, The Matrix, and Mortal Kombat. Nothing ever changes. Yeah. And very surreal for me how few of people on staff have seen Tenet. Isn't it bizarre that people are like, oh yeah, Tenet still haven't.
Remember before the pandemic, like the what was the AMC program, the Movie Pass or whatever, the one where you could just
A-list.
Yeah, A-list. Like who would have guessed that was gonna kind of be like a weird prototype. It would kind of evolve into this in a way, like, because that's sort of what this is. Like you're paying a monthly fee and you're going to get, you can watch all the new movies that you want, at least from WB. And we'll see what happens with other studios. But I wonder if that's going to you'll be able to sort of trace back all the way to that A-list thing. Yeah.
Very interesting. And again, time will tell if more streaming, film distributors follow suit. But before we move on, I wanted to quickly rattle off the list in case people hadn't heard. This includes The Little Things, Judas and the Black Messiah, Tom and Jerry. We're all happy about Tom and Jerry coming to streaming. Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat, Those Who Wish Me Dead, the new Conjuring movie, In the Heights, the new Space Jam movie, The Suicide Squad, as we mentioned, something called Reminiscence. I don't know about that. Something called Malignant, Dune, The Many Saints of Newark, King Richard, Cry Macho, and of course, Matrix 4. So that entire slate, that entire 2021 slate coming to HBO Max subscribers for no additional cost. And I think we've sucked all the information out of that story we can.
The Batman had already been moved to 2022 because that was the first thing I thought of, and I forgot that it had already been bumped out of 2021.
Not to say it won't be distributed in this way, but they have the freedom to say, we didn't say 2022 and see what happens.
It's funny because like I usually think about those commercials at the end of trailers where they say only in theaters, where I feel like that is going to have a new meaning in the future, where if they somehow try to once if the pandemic gets under control and we can go back to the movie theaters, I feel like how will they kind of stop giving people the option to watch from home? I feel like everyone will be too used to it, and then they'll have to sort of, I don't know, have some sort of compromise. And so I can see like theaters like premium ones like Alamo and stuff kind of doing like only in theaters, you know, you get this free steelbook if you come on in, and you know, like kind of giving an option because I don't know, I panicked.
What's in the steelbook?
it's just a thing where like I appreciate, like I don't know if anyone's mentioned this, but like it is great for accessibility. Like it's great that like people who I know, I have a lot of friends who never go to the movie theaters, and it's like they never see movies. So like this is kind of a fun way that like kind of the way how Bird Box came out on Netflix and like everyone saw it and it was like all over social media for like weeks. Like we'll have that kind of like community when these new movies come out, which is fun. But I'm so scared for the movie theater industry.
And I'm interested to see how HBO Max kind of grows internationally, because correct me if I'm wrong, it is only accessible for US residents that I know of. Maybe that's right. So if it starts to compete with Netflix, are we going to see it opening up across the world? And how's that going to impact those industries? And
they did say that HBO Max is going global in 2021. Also, since we are on IGN, it's worth mentioning as well, and apologies if I'm taking your thunder here, Swaim, is Xbox and PlayStation do not currently have 4K and HDR playback on the HBO Max app. In the Engadget story that I saw, apparently that is coming in 2021 as well. Currently, so for Wonder Woman on Christmas Day, the only ways to see it on streaming in 4K HDR it was like a bunch of Amazon devices, and I forget, it was I think maybe a Chromecast. It was nothing that I had. It was like there were like, I don't know if there were any of the smart TV apps. It was just like, it was some devices, but none of them were video game consoles. So I hope with this announcement that Microsoft and Sony lean a little harder on their counterparts on like the app teams at HBO and WB and say, hey, come on, let's speed up the timeline on that 4K HDR update for the console apps.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a pertinent detail. All the films will be on HBO Max in 4K, Ultra HD, HDR, but only where that's available. I'm going to have to assume that will happen. That's just a quality of life improvement that feels inevitable in the fullness of time. And specifically for our international friends, as HBO Max is currently only available in the United States, which I didn't even know that, the Warner Brothers international debuts of these films will continue as planned. And then sort of an interesting note, some partners such as Legendary, Godzilla vs. Kong, were not aware that this was happening. Isn't that crazy to make a big budget film and find out unilaterally it's being distributed in an entirely different way? I mean, this is not the first time that's happened, but it would be odd to me if I were like high level creative on that movie or an executive at Legendary. I'd have questions. Okay, let's move on. People are spamming the chat with console tribalism. So
why?
I'm gonna
why?
Right, exactly.
Stop. We're not even talking about that.
I'm gonna punish them by skipping the next story and moving right on to our BioWare story. See, they'll never even know what we were going to talk about.
They can all unite in their dislike of EA now. So
Look,
go ahead.
I don't think we need to help get the word out that Cyberpunk's coming. next Thursday. Everyone's aware. Let's move on to the big BioWare news that also dropped fairly recently. I don't know, last 4 or 5 hours. Casey Hudson and Mark, is it Darrah? Darrah? Should have done my homework.
Darrah, yeah.
Darrah. To leave the studio. Now, if you don't, I didn't know them by name, but after Googling the pedigree, I'm very familiar with all of their work, and they shaped most of my life, or a big part of my gaming life. I'm like, yes, respect. But folks who have been here at IGN longer than anyone have occasion to interview either of these guys or have any insight on them, or do you just know them as mega heavy hitters from BioWare, as I do?
I've met Casey a number of times in the past. I was actually supposed to interview him on IGN Unfiltered, my sort of hour-long interview show that I do from time to time. But I got sick that day, and then he had to fly back home. So he's the one that got away, and now he has gotten away. But yeah, like Casey Hudson is in particular for console gaming, like core PC gaming fans. The guy who's the director, not only of the Mass Effect trilogy, but also of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which is probably my personal favorite role-playing game of all time. And it's held, even if you don't think quite that highly of it, most everybody considers KOTOR to be like either the number one or number two best Star Wars game of all time. And it's, so Casey Hudson, really accomplished guy. He had left BioWare some years ago and was gone for like 2 years. He worked on HoloLens stuff at Microsoft before coming back to be the studio general manager in 2017. So and then Mark Darrah, he's been a long time BioWare veteran as well. So there are not too many of the old school BioWare folks from, going back to, again, Mass Effect 1 and early Dragon Age and Jade Empire and KOTOR and even Baldur's Gate before that. Not a lot of those folks left at this point.
Yeah, exactly. People, we should broadcast loud and clear. BioWare says all currently ongoing projects, including Anthem next. Ooh, breathe a sigh of relief. Sorry. Anthem next. The next Dragon Age, that I very much care about. And the Mass Effect Legendary Edition remasters among them are continuing as planned. So it wasn't any kind of bitter separation. In fact, as people are pointing out in chat, one of them left at some point and came back.
Casey. Yeah, that was what I just
Casey. Okay. Yeah. That's what you're referencing. So it's definitely an amicable sort of shifting of leadership. Hopefully there won't be too. I don't know. Do you know something I don't know?
I don't, but I'm just saying this.
I'll say this. They all release public statements, and the quotes are too boring for me to read because they're all just very pleasant. Like, everyone's great. We're friends. It's time to move on, but I'll miss everyone. Everything's cool. Go.
All pure speculation. Nothing. I know nothing. I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but just my read on it is not like they definitely got shown the door involuntarily, but two senior veteran people leaving at the same time right before the holidays. Like, I don't know, man. It just smells funny to me. It seems like this may have been one of those, let's just call it a voluntary mutual decision for you guys to leave. It smells fishy to me is all I'm saying. I can't prove it. I have nothing to base that off of other than just the quotes and the way this is being presented. I don't know. And it's a shame, really. If this announcement of the studio restructuring was supposed to inspire confidence, like, oh, BioWare is just getting everything together, and like, it did not have that effect on me. It had the opposite effect of like, this studio that's been really sailing through some choppy waters for years now, it is no.
Joe Talon in chat says there was a time I would have bought anything with BioWare's name on it. That time has passed. And I agree with that. I think it sort of gives you the cautious, wary feeling. I wasn't trying to project confidence in BioWare as much as, like when you hear a director left a project and you're like, well, that could be a very bad sign. Or it could be that something came up in their personal life. Directors leave projects. You don't know it's bad, but
Right.
it's not good. It's not suddenly like Sam Raimi's attached to Doctor Strange. Oh, wow.
As
And the
a
president's
as
destroyed.
a counterpoint,
Yeah.
almost all of the original legends from id Software, John Carmack, John Romero, just et cetera, like they've all left. Like even when John Carmack, who was really the almost literal brain of that whole studio, when he left, that was really not amicable from what everybody could say. But new talent came in, Hugo Martin and the team there, and they have just revitalized id and continued it as they are a top tier first person shooter developer. So it is definitely possible that regardless of the circumstances of this, and is it a voluntary departure, is it not, whatever, there is a chance here, and we've seen it with id and other places, where hopefully now the new leadership, the new team that will come up, will lead BioWare kind of finally out of this dark chapter it's in and back into them being a fantastic role-playing game developer again.
Yeah, although should point out we are seeing some support for Anthem in the chat. Could be a No Man's Sky situation. People are saying it's fixable. It's just a little airborne. It's still good. And of course, Mark and Casey are still in the field. They've not retired from gaming. They've formed a new studio. So like the creative energy is still in play, in pursuit of games for gamers to enjoy. So who knows what they'll come up with in their new roles, in their new configuration. Anything from Ben or Jeffrey before I move us along?
I'm not too familiar with their games, but I always feel like these are sort of stories that maybe seem a little too industry specific. So I love that we're breaking it down for our audience.
I was going to say, yeah, let's stay firmly inside the baseball, right between the cork layer and the woven rubber band thing, to talk about a Silent Hill creator leaving Sony to form a new studio. So another shifting of leadership, studios spawning off studios, spinning off studios, games raining down upon us. But this, in this case, Kiichiro Toyama, creator and director of Silent Hill, although obviously Kojima often gets brought up and sort of eclipses any other name you bring up. But Mr. Toyama has left PlayStation after more than 20 years at the Sony Japan studio to found a new company, Bokeh Game Studio, and is joined by The Last Guardian and Puppeteers Kazunobu Sato, along with Gravity Rush lead designer Junya Okura and other former colleagues. So to recap, like creative touch points there were Silent Hill, The Last Guardian, and Gravity Rush. And as someone pointed out in Slack, not that this is remotely what will happen, but if you just blend those games together, that would be crazy. That'd be a neat game. But I'm a big Last Guardian fan, actually. It gave me all the feels. It felt like playing a Pixar movie, and I enjoyed it for that. Anyone have strong thoughts on whether this is going to be, could we get a Silent Hill alike finally? Anything promising coming out of this, or are we just providing information and steamrolling right past that bad boy?
Steamroll.
All right.
I'm just surprised to see anybody, to see prominent people leave Sony, just because Sony has, like, their track record is they've given developers a lot of freedom over the years. I mean, you look at Guerrilla, who was making Killzone for basically the entire PlayStation 3 PS2, PS3 generation. And then they were allowed to just have some creative freedom. And then we got Horizon Zero Dawn, and now a sequel coming out of that. And, Insomniac, they've still got Ratchet going, but then doing Spider-Man. And like, they are a publisher that has seemingly afforded their developers a lot of creativity and creative freedom, I should say. So, yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, it sounds like these guys have all been there for a long, long time. So maybe they just kind of wanted a fresh start, and we don't know. They might just want to work on something smaller rather than these big multi-year AAA blockbuster things. But yeah, it's always nice to have more creative people doing more projects. That can only end well for gamers.
Ryan, you are a treasure. Where would the show be without you?
I feel like I'm talking too much. I'm going to shut up for the rest of the show.
No, just the opposite, sir. As a special treat, let's talk Master Chief, just for you, Ryan. This is a rumor. I don't know if the IGN news team has even deigned to cover it yet because they're a little worried. So, like, I don't know, throw some graphics up, Mariah, that I didn't warn you about. Police tape, caution tape would be good. I'm sure you'll get to it. That there are rumors originating from 4chan originally, which is why I think our news team's a little wary. But this is the live talk show, so we can, just kind of talk about rumors. That Fortnite is going to be getting a Master Chief skin and some other Halo goodies. And the reason I find it a little credible is just the timing lines up, as I believe I don't know, wherever it was covered, I believe Polygon mentioned the timing lines up with if Infinite hadn't been delayed, this could have been a tie-in for that. So it's kind of lends some credibility to, like, maybe they just went for it anyway or are about to. And of course, this follows a record-breaking Marvel event and a recent tease for a God of War crossover. So Fortnite is just, you can be whoever you want now in Fortnite. The entire cast of Smash Brothers in Fortnite. I don't play Fortnite. I'm not cool enough to play Fortnite. But I have no problem with these expansive tie-ins and all these great skins. And I love me some Master Chief. So yeah, you can put Master Chief in pretty much anything. And I'm not upset about that. Now, Jeffrey and Benjamin, you said literally in our preparatory thread, oh, good, we can talk about Fortnite the whole time. So I assume one of you has a take on this story.
Yes.
Yeah, I've never played it. So Jeffrey, you take it away.
Jeffrey.
Okay, that's not true. And I want everyone watching to know that myself and Benjamin play Fortnite every single night.
That's not true.
Ben does have a daughter, and she also plays with us.
But she plays.
And her name is Fortnite.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So Fortnite, I love Fortnite. Like, I got into it with Ben super late. We started playing Fortnite during the pandemic. So we started on the Marvel season, and it's been a blast. I will say it is currently 4:33 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Before we started the show, right at 4 p.m., Fortnite did tweet out that Kratos from God of War is officially in the item shop. So that rumor came true. If you're watching this right now, Kratos is currently in the item shop on today, December 3rd, 4th, 3rd. So here's where the Master Chief thing comes in, where I think is very interesting, is that we all know that God of War is a PlayStation exclusive. And so the Halo rumor was kind of like, oh, this is going to be for PlayStation. Microsoft is going to have a Halo collaboration, and Nintendo, the big three, people were thinking that Samus was actually going to come to Fortnite because the whole new season that just started is led by the Mandalorian, and the whole season is bounty hunter themed. So people were like, oh, Kratos, and then Master Chief, and then Samus. But we haven't heard anything from Nintendo. Nintendo did just release a brand new Nintendo Switch Fortnite bundle, so it's not crazy that there could be a Nintendo Fortnite collab. And then everyone always talks about Fortnite characters being in Smash, so I'm really excited because I love the tie-ins, I love collaborations. Like, we just started playing the new season that came out yesterday, and playing as the Mandalorian is crazy fun because you start off as him. I thought he would be like the last level. You start off as him, and then throughout the game you start to get his Beskar armor, which is really neat and very kind of true to the lore. But so I'm very excited to kind of see where a lot of well-known leakers of Fortnite have posted like pictures of Master Chief and like his gliders and like the gliders and like a car and like stuff like that. So like, I believe it. Like, I'm sure this is gonna be a thing, and I'm very excited for it. I'm too excited for it.
Oh, I think we lost Swaim. He's frozen.
Oh, we lost him.
All right, okay, I'll keep talking because it's Halo. Yeah, like the old. I'm too much of an old man for this. I don't play Fortnite. But I completely get if it is true why Microsoft would want to do it, because it's like Miley Cyrus covering Led Zeppelin, right? It's gonna bring this classic thing to the forefront of the minds of a new generation who might not really know about or play Halo. So it's totally, I mean, Microsoft has, I think, a hell of a lot more.
Oh
Oh
no!
no.
Oh no! Just
Okay.
you and me, Jeffrey. This is
Okay.
bad.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for sticking with us. Let me talk about more about Fortnite. So I currently play on Nintendo Switch. Everyone kind of sort of makes fun of me because the quality is not so great compared to, PlayStation 5 and PC. But I love playing on the go. I love portable things. Ben, you play
Yeah.
Fortnite on PC, right?
I do. So yeah, I thought this was just a really fun thing to check out when I got my new PC. And then this kind of led this whole pandemic thing. I am just watching our stream as it goes through chaos. So obviously, so great to have everyone still following. Oh, well,
Yeah.
look, all of our concurrents are going up higher. So they're loving this action. No, but I think what Fortnite has been able to do is that it's just such a great place to hang out with, like, you, Jeffrey, and a few of our other friends is something neat to do. And we do get excited about what kind of new skin might be coming, because it's just harmless fun. Now, obviously, I think Fortnite has become more and more a marketing arm for a lot of big games and movies, and that's totally fine by me. At least you're getting your properties in front of millions and millions and millions of players, so it makes total sense that we would have, well, now confirmed, Kratos, and that there would be a Master Chief, and there would be a Nintendo counterpart, whether it be, I'd love to see Mario, but I think the proportions are way off there.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah, I will say though, with like kind of more collaborations and more like tie-ins and licensing. I remember back in the day when movies would come out and they would make video games that would tie into movies. Like one of my favorite video games of all time is Batman Begins, and for GameCube, for Nintendo GameCube. And it's really fun to say, like, okay, we're not going to make a full video game about our movie, but it's much easier to kind of take our movie character and put it into Fortnite. And that is like a really fun kind of like easy way to get in front of everybody. Like just recently we had Black Widow as a character. We specifically had Black Widow from the Black Widow movie in this white snowsuit bundle. And so it's like really fun to kind of like, as things, there's like a John Wick skin when John Wick 3 came out. Like, it's instead of like wishing that there was like full video games that take, years, and usually the tie-in movies aren't that great because they're just licensed to, whatever random people, no, it's they're usually not good, sadly. But so the fact that we can just like have like our own favorite kind of movie people in the game is like this whole fun thing that the creators at Fortnite, like I know the Donald Mustard, he's like in charge of Fortnite. He's been teasing that everything is connected, that everything is like converging, like the Mandalorian, like all the Marvel people, like they're all in this shared universe, that they're kind of blowing up Fortnite to be this like shared metaverse that I'm fully here for. And I think we're all back. So I'm very excited to pass it back to Swaim here.
So let's
as we
wrap it up,
talk
guys.
about
All right.
Fortnite.
I think, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, fabulous. My Discord is still saying, hey, guy, no one can hear you. You're shouting into the abyss for no reason. But if you guys can hear me, I'll just believe you. That's great. What the fuck were we talking about?
Fortnite.
Just how
Hooray,
great
hooray.
Fortnite was.
How much
guys
of the,
were right.
how much
You were
of the
able to
mouth
carry
garbage
that.
that I was saying came through before I apparently got dumped out? I have no idea.
You
It wasn't
were
just
you
me
were
this time. Made
yeah,
me
you were on for a
happy.
good bit. I don't know what happened. Yeah.
As people pointed out in chat, you probably kept talking for a significant length of time after you got
Yeah,
out, because you were
for
like in
sure.
the middle of an arc.
Yeah.
Sorry that was lost to time, but we would be remiss if we didn't wrap up the show strong with Moon news. Someone in the chat earlier said IGN needs to change their name to IEN. I will defend our right to cover entertainment news, but even I must admit, I don't know why we cover moon news, but we can't not. We love it when there's news about the moon. And in this case, SpaceX has announced that they are going to be racing remote control cars on the moon in 2021. That's basically the story. But it's cool. It's part of what's the company called? Moonmark, I believe. But it's a program where high schoolers will actually compete to design remote control cars that would function in space, and the best designs will, go up to the Tri-County area, state level, whatever, eventually get built and designed with the help of Frank Stevenson, legendary designer known for his work on the Ferrari, BMW, McLaren, and more, a bunch of classic cars. And he will help finalize the designs. They'll be sent to space, and there will be a car race on the moon. That's as close as you can get to being a video game without being a video game, I would argue. So I thought it was worth bringing up. We did cover it. You can find more great moon news at IGN.com. I wanted to ask one question about the moon news before we do wrap up, because I am actually interested in this. So many people in chat. So on that article, Argyle Praken says, is it too late to want to be an astronaut? That was basically the only "this is cool" reaction I saw. Every other reaction was like, John X. McMaster, Jesus Christ, please raise their taxes. A lot of stuff about how this is pointless. This is unproductive. There's so much going on with the pandemic and global strife. And I got to say, that's if you know your moon history, that's actually been an argument against exploring space ever since we first invented rocketry. And I'm against it. I think we have the capacity to both care for people on Earth and address problems and explore space. I think they're both important. Who wants to tell me why I'm a fool and an idealist?
Here's the thing. You're talking about SpaceX, a company headed by Elon Musk, who shot his own original Tesla Roadster into space for fun. So RC cars,
wheel? That's right.
RC cars on the moon, totally on brand here. Second, on that note, pro tip for anybody, any students out there that want to enter this competition to maybe have their RC vehicle raced on the moon, all you got to do, make a little tiny Cybertruck. Elon's going to love that, guaranteed.
That's a great point. Al, I want to make sure I get the name right. Al Bundy in chat says, how big are these RCs going to be? I actually think that's the main question I have. Unfortunately, that information I could not find in the press release. So I don't understand, if we're on the moon at 0G, are we talking Ad Astra chase scene, like moon rovers that are remote controlled? Or are we literally talking RC cars, like little Mario Karts, just going or building a track in a single crate or something like that? But anyway, RC cars on the moon. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm picturing RC cars. I'm picturing RC cars, but I wouldn't put it past Elon to go, no. Let's make them full-size cars. Fill them with mannequins. This is going to be great.
You've got to get them to the moon, so they're not going to be full-size cars.
That's true. There is a weight issue.
That also does sound like a storyline in Fortnite, so anything is possible.
Is any aspect of life not going to turn out to be a Fortnite tie-in? Is the metal monolith going to come to Fortnite? Yeah.
Well, Elon says we might all be living in a simulation, and maybe that simulation is Fortnite.
Certainly Fortnite x Minecraft has to encompass most of reality, right? Those two properties. We are clearly out of gas, so I'm going to call it out of time and out of news. But this was a delight. I love that our systems are so janky that just to roll with it when our faces freeze and we drop out. Go Thursday, crew. Thank you to Benjamin, who's frozen now, it looks like. Enjoy the rest of your honeycomb-filled Australia-specific candy bar.
Oh, it's so good. I'm not going to show it, but it's so good.
Yeah. So long, Frozen Jeffrey. So long, Frozen Ryan. Thanks to everyone watching at home. There is no Up at Noon today. Brian Altano got sick off of a pizza and is throwing up pizza. So come back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time for another News, Games, and More. We'll see you then.
Bye.